1 week ago, on Lag Baimer, hundreds of thousands of Yidden traveled to Meron to visit the kever of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. It was a hot, sweltering day. Buses broke down. Over 500 people suffered dehydration. Dozens were hospitalized. Clearly, the Israeli authorities had failed to make proper advance plans to handle this major event. Yet, there was no public outcry over this failure. The mainstream Israeli media barely covered the story. There was no gishrei in the Knesset. A columnist in the Israeli newspaper Haaretz offered the following observation. If the chaos at Mount Meron had happened at a secular event, Knesset members would be sounding the alarm. Ministers would be making rousing speeches. The police commissioner would be pledging to investigate. However, more than 90% of the people who come to Mount Meron every year are ultra-Orthodox Jews. The ultra-Orthodox are second-class citizens in this country. Well, we all know, as the Rebbe told us earlier, that anti-Haredi sentiment is high in Israel. At least here in America, Baruch Hashem, things are different. We are accepted. We are respected. We are protected. Right? Not so fast. Listen to what the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty had to say in the legal brief it recently filed in support of Agudath Israel and the other organizations challenging New York City's regulation of Metzitza B'Peh. Quote, targeted government measures against Orthodox Jews are becoming depressingly regular features in the city and surrounding municipalities. This may stem from an antagonism on the part of the secular leadership of the city toward public manifestation of religion in general, but Orthodox Judaism is perhaps the religion that suffers the most hostility. The brief goes on for 10 depressing pages, describing specific cases where Orthodox Jews have been the object of social disdain and legal disability. The brief quotes some of the venomous language that has been used to describe Orthodox Jews. Tribal, fake people, blood-sucking, self-centered leeches who create Jonestown-like cults where they drink spiked Kool-Aid. Kosher, of course. The Beckett Fund concludes its brief by pointing out the undeniable. Deep hostility toward Orthodox Jews is present in American society in general, and in New York in particular. Are we so complacent here in the land of the free and the home of the brave that we need a non-Jewish organization in a brief written by lawyers named McConnell and Rasbach to open our eyes to the viral spread of anti-Orthodox sentiment in this country? If the Gentile brief writers aren't enough to arouse us from our blissful stupor, perhaps the words of our distinguished mayor will do the trick. When Atlantic Magazine recently interviewed Mayor Bloomberg about his decision to regulate an aspect of bris milah, his honor humbly replied, I think it's fair to say that nobody else would take that on. I mean, come on. Who wants to have 10,000 guys in black hats outside your office screaming? Wow. Imagine the uproar if Mr. Bloomberg would have said the same sentence without the word hats. But of course, he would never do that. Our mayor is no racist. Excuse me for just one moment, I'll be right back. Rabbi Zwiebel. People often ask me, why do we need Agudath Yisrael today? Years ago, obviously, when the Torah community was small and weak, there was a need for such an organization that would help secure our rights and build our communities. But why today? Haaretz knows the answer. The Beckett Fund knows the answer. Readers of Atlantic Magazine know the answer. And tonight, we know the answer. We know why it's so important to bring Torah Jews together as a united and powerful Koach HaRabim, as we see on display here tonight, and especially so at the recent Siyum HaShas. We know why it's so important to advocate in Washington, and in Albany, and in Trenton, and in Annapolis, and Tallahassee, and Springfield, and Sacramento, and Columbus, and Indianapolis, wherever there are communities of Orthodox Jews who send their children to yeshivas and day schools, who try to lead a life of Torah observance. We know why it's so important to have a network of lawyers and other professionals upon whom Agudath Yisrael calls whenever our ability to live our lives as Torah Jews is under attack. We know why it's so important to have an Office of Public Affairs which monitors the media and is on the alert to respond to the outrageous libels and the misinformed nonsense about our community that find their way into even the most respectable publications. And there's one other thing we know, that every one of us has a unique and indispensable role to play in the great battle for the survival of our community as a Torah community. We are all in this together, and we're all strengthened when we join together. Agudath Yisrael urgently needs every one of us, because every one of us urgently needs Agudath Yisrael. Thank you very much.